Hi, you guys. Welcome back. Nice to see you again. And due to, I guess, positive response to my attempting to not be sarcastic, I'm going to do it again. I just have to be careful. You know, if we were broadcasting in a country with, you know, freedom of speech and, I don't know, maybe a Bill of Rights or something like that, it would be a lot easier. But I have to watch what I say. And maybe sometime we'll be in a situation again where we can say what we want. But within the criteria set for conforming to the rules of the platform, I want to say some things that are not sarcastic. And I think you can tell by the title, the theme was, I don't think it's too late to wake up. And the phrase waking up is being thrown around in all kinds of meanings. You know, a lot of people are considering that waking up means to be able to recite all the things that are happening in the world. And I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about self-awareness on a level that would change things dramatically. In the world situation now, most of which I can't say anything about for reasons I just went over, it either goes into a really dark age and then extermination of life, which is what I've come to, you know, on the analysis. I think I'm allowed to say that of what the plan of the top level rulers is not population reduction. I think that's a step, and most of the power structure is told that's what they're doing, and if they go along with it, they'll be in the elite remnant that gets to take over the world, and that keeps them motivated. People that are really into evil and things like that, they get all excited about being the chosen remnant that gets to enjoy the world as their playground. But I think they're targeted for extermination like all of the rest of us, and even like the perpetrators. And I haven't, probably most of the commentators would disagree with me on this. They don't think that it's a suicide mission for the controllers, but that's what I've come to, and not lightly. And that's after decades of really deep investigation into their identities and doings and the way they're organized and where they come from, where the orders originate that they're following. I don't think they plan to have any life left at all. Otherwise, they wouldn't be exterminating the life support system of the planet. They'd only be going after humans, and that's what they're doing. So what, you know, the only reason for knowing about that, in my opinion, is not to feel bad or to feel fatalistic or anything like that. It's to come up with solutions, and not just theoretically then act on them and do them. And so there are different levels of solutions. This is going to be a real short broadcast because we have to get ready for the main version of this show that's on other platforms. And you can find out what those are by link below this video, and also going to lostartsradio.com and checking that out. And that'll keep having what platforms we're still allowed to be on. And you can go look at those if you want to. But I'm trying the experiment of saying a little bit that's straight to the point on this platform as well, and see what happens. So on the physical level, there's some really great people doing broadcasts, podcasts, live streams that are pointing out that mass non-compliance is the obvious response that should happen. And I think that's true. Nonviolent, non-compliance with immoral orders, you know, and by immoral, I don't mean they contradict whatever particular belief or religion you're in. I mean immoral orders, you know, suicidal orders to hurt other people, orders to police to beat up women with clubs, obvious I mean, you don't have to memorize, let's see, does my religion say this is allowed, or this is, you don't have to get into that unless you're, really, really unaware, which most people, most of us still are. I'm saying that if as you get your common sense and your direct perception back, you don't have to look up to see if a certain action is allowed. You know it. If you're a policeman or a policewoman being given orders in Australia or any other country to go in and club people for trying to get into a grocery store, which is happening. Okay, that's going on. And it's coming to the US and all the other countries too, if it's not stopped. So if you're given an order to do that, your version at the moment of non-compliance would be, I can't do that. I'm responsible for what I do. And it doesn't mean if the corrupt legal system protects crime, which it usually does in all corrupt countries in history. That doesn't make any difference. The real law is not written, and it covers absolutely everything. And you, in the position of being the policeman or the lawyer or the banker or the farmer or anything else that you might be, the house builder or the husband or wife taking care of kids or whoever, the real code of ethics because it's embedded in your consciousness, even if you've cut yourself off from it. And if you're one of the ruling elite that is intentionally, knowingly working for destruction, there's a level, people say that you don't have a conscience anymore. That's not true. You're just not aware of it. It's still there. And so there's more than one level that the solution lies on. You can say mass noncompliance like David does. I don't think I can mention his last name or we'll disappear. Alex seems to agree with it. I can't say his last name either. Anybody who's really looking at it says, well, obviously, you don't go along with crime. And I don't mean crime according to the letter of the law, because most of the corrupt governments make crime legal, their own crime. That doesn't change the real law at all. The real law covers absolutely everything. And it's the same no matter what religion you are, whether you think that there's no God or what your philosophy of life is. The real law is the same. Doesn't matter if you've ever read a book in your life. So this applies to the military. The military is a really honorable profession, but it can be corrupted and misused. It's being intentionally destroyed in the US and other countries right now. And the idea is that if the countries collapse and the economies are being intentionally collapsed, then everybody will beg to be saved by world government. That's part of the idea behind what's going on right now. And then the world government will issue, when everybody's starving and doesn't have money, they'll issue probably a digital blockchain type currency that you get barely enough to live, provided you obey every order. It's absolutely suicidal. You never want to see that happen. So mass noncompliance at this stage is possible. Later stages are going to be really difficult if it's not done now. So why is it not happening? I mean, there are demonstrations, but on the level of noncompliance that has to happen, it's reminiscent of the bumper sticker that was in the 60s. That when people were discovering that the Vietnam War was a crime. It wasn't to save the world for freedom. It wasn't to rescue the Vietnamese people by, dumping napalm on their country. That there's something wrong with that picture, and people were figuring it out when I was a university student in the mid 60s. And there was a bumper sticker that said, what if they gave a war and nobody came, like giving a party, and nobody shows up at the party? Well, then the war wouldn't happen, right? What if all the police ordered to beat up people for trying to get food or keep their business open said, wait a minute, that's an immoral order. It's by definition illegal. no matter whether you change the law to accommodate crime or not. That's illegal according to real law. And I can't do it. I can't club these people or shoot them or tase them or um, throw them on the ground. I can't do that because I'm responsible for everything I do. Even if you make it legal, it doesn't change a thing. That's the level of noncompliance that would make the best difference. If people in political office that were used to the system where you have to completely obey and make believe you think exactly what your boss thinks, and if they became aware of the consciousness needed for noncompliance, they would say, I can't do this. I can't be part of a system that is leading toward extermination of life, which it clearly is. People working in a hospital or a private facility where they have government funding and they kill babies before they're born, they couldn't do it. They would quit because they're responsible for what they do, and they can see, hey, wait a minute, this is not like a fingernail or something. This is a living being that I'm being asked to help murder. And they couldn't do it. They would quit, just like the nurses and doctors in hospitals now that are being told to do something that is endangering their life and damaging them. Even if they don't die right away, it always causes damage. And they're being told, oh, just damage your body and you can keep your job. They couldn't do it. It's a hard situation, but government is trying to force it. And I'm walking on a really thin line here. I hope you appreciate that. But I tend to want to just say everything, and I have to be restrained in this particular situation to keep this platform. But there's a reason that all the most aware nurses and doctors and medical workers and people like that are quitting when they're given a mandate. Because if the mandate is immoral, you can't do it. Yeah, it's terrible if you lose your source of income. That's horrible. I can't fault anybody that goes along with the self-destructive mandate of what's being demanded, but it's not once you really see it in its full depth, you can't do it because, yeah, maybe you keep money for a while, but if you're going to lose your body and lose your life for going along with it, how is that helping your family? So they're using extreme pressure, and the president is part of it. He probably doesn't even understand what's going on, as you know if you've looked into it. But his bosses who write or dictate what has to be on his teleprompter, they know. They know they're ordering the death of hundreds of millions of people, because in the animal experiments, I hope we'll still be here next week, but it's really hard for me not to mention what's actually happening. In the animal experiments were done. Okay, it's not true that they weren't. Most of the animals didn't die right away. I think less than 1% died quickly, which is still a lot when you're talking about massive numbers of people, but most of them died later. Not that much later. In animal time, 2 or 3 months, if I remember, for ferrets and animals like that. That's like 2 to 5 years for people. So there's going to be antidotes needed, and a lot of us are working on that. But the best, most efficient thing is don't go along with doing anything to hurt yourself. The power structure has this slogan that they want you to memorize so that you'll stay afraid. And the slogan is stay safe, meaning, oh, you're going to die at any moment, if you don't follow orders. I'm saying, yeah, stay safe from the power structure. That's the biggest danger. But how do you get mass noncompliance to happen? Again, I'm saying nonviolent. I agree with the people that are saying that. Violence is really not appropriate other than self-defense or defense of others. For military too, defense is not going and destroying some foreign country for the sake of this big chessboard that the bosses are running. If you are into this spirit and consciousness of mass noncompliance, if you're a soldier, you can't do it. And there's the same thing. Oh, you're going to lose your money. You're going to lose your status. Maybe you'll be dishonorably discharged if the system is that corrupt. But what are you going to do? Commit murder for money? What if you're a doctor being told to commit murder for money, which thousands of doctors are, maybe more than thousands. And most of them are going along with it like a big, large-scale Milgram experiment in the medical industry. If you realize what you're doing and that nothing that you do in life has no consequences, everybody's responsible for everything. Not because some really nasty power is going to punish them. At least that I don't see that happening. But because what the karmic system has built in, and this is not a religion, this is like what's behind the religions, the intricacy and completeness of how the physical plane is put together. Everything has consequences. Everything has cause and effect. So if you're in the system and you're just playing along with it thinking, well, the law's on my side, or I won't get caught, or this is just an insignificant person that I'm helping to murder, that's really not how it works. This, you don't, if calling it karmic makes you nervous because it, an Eastern term, this has nothing to do with East or West or anything like that. It has to do with how things operate. And you can call it reaping what you sow, because that's true. But it's true on a really minute basis. And we've all suffered for our mistakes because we didn't know. But once you know, you can't keep doing it. So the consciousness to realize, wow, my thoughts and my words and what I do to or for other people, that has like instant, it goes on my account, not just for after you, what they call die, leave the physical level, but it goes on your account now and it affects the rest of this lifetime. So we've done enough mistakes in the past, all of us. I mean, we've all been total idiots in a lot of ways. But once you realize that, you don't have to keep doing it. It's really not required. So we got to cut this short because I got to get ready for the main show. But police and sheriffs, I mean, you guys have a deep responsibility, like all of us do. Your job is to protect the people's freedom and their natural rights, not just in America, any part of the world. God doesn't belong to one country, and neither does the system of cause and effect. It works everywhere. So you're there for protecting people's individual freedoms and country borders. And I thought, a long time ago, I looked at what was going on in the world and where it was headed and what the plan was and how it was total extermination, enslavement followed by extermination in steps, because they could kill us all overnight. They've got the technology for that, and they're not doing it. So what's going on? And what I finally came to was the sacrifice aspect, that they have to follow protocol, they have to give notices, there are certain milestones they have to meet. It's a spiritual thing. It's not about money. Money is used to motivate some of the mid-levels of servants and keep the lower-level people like us, the regular ones, in control as well. But at the top, it is not about money. It's a ceremonial sacrifice, and that's a long subject. But that's what I see. So that's the reason that we've got time to change. And in a circumstance, even to the state that it's gotten now, where people feel afraid and under too much control to do anything except what's acceptable, what's authorized, requires a change in consciousness. And what I see is without the change in consciousness, the real level of mass compliance is not going to reach what it has to reach. So I thought, all right, what contribution could I possibly make to that? Because there's better newscasters. There's people with big crews like Alex's show. I can't mention his last name, but Alex and Mike and all these great people. Tom Renz, he's not known enough for me to not say his name. These are really great people to follow, and I recommend it. And I thought, what could be added? What small part in all that could I possibly play? Because we've all got our part, and you do too. You've got a major part. And the only thing I can add that those guys aren't saying is this consciousness change on a really deep level, way beyond what you believe and what your religion is and what your philosophy is. I'm talking about a level that's not even, it's what's behind those beliefs. That's what's required to make the mass non-compliance hit a level worldwide where we get people defecting from within the power structure to the degree we need. People censoring, content that's true that they're told to wipe out so nobody can hear it. If their consciousness changes like what I'm talking about, they would become whistleblowers and defect. That could happen quickly, and you could be the starting point. So that's what we are attempting to do with our private meeting of Planetary Healing Club online, which you're invited to if you want to get into that. But you can also do it on your own. I mean, nobody owns consciousness. It's not the property of some special religious titled person or some priest somewhere. It belongs to you. It just has to be waked up. So that's what we're doing in Planetary Healing Club, hoping to help trigger the change that reverses what's going on now. It's still possible. I don't think that's too late. And that's the level of waking up I wanted to talk about. So in Planetary Healing Club, we're going over repressed real health information, but not just on physical levels, because the mental and emotional and physical and spiritual, they all go together. And we're not talking about belief. We're talking about real investigation and application. It's what's behind the belief's hope is true. And it's a basis of life. So check that out if you're interested. You might not like it because it's not religious. And I'm not disrespecting anybody's religion, but I'm talking about we got to get to a level beyond just mere belief. And it requires a lot of courage because you got to work on yourself. It's much more challenging than critiquing other people and saying how dumb they are. This is like getting much more real. So if you do it yourself or do it with a friend or do it with us or do it any way you want, this is what needs to happen. And I don't think this is going to be solved on the physical level alone. But if we do it on the levels that the physical depends on, then the physical will show things turning around. And I don't think that's too late to happen at all, since you're there. And it really is. I'm not kidding. You have unlimited power to play a central role in this all. And I'm just suggesting this is a good time to do it. So I got to go. And thanks for encouraging the non-sarcasm. I hope it doesn't result in us disappearing. But if it does, go to lostartsradio.com and it'll show where we're still on the air. And if you want to help our work and you've got funds to do that, there's a donate button on the site. That would be greatly appreciated because we're not doing commercials, as you've noticed. And subscribestar.com/lostartsradio is another way to do it. Share the links. It gets us past the blockages. And that's also really appreciated. You don't donate any money if you don't have extra money for that. Take care of yourself. In fact, that's a main theme. Take care of yourself on every level. And it's the most generous thing you could do because it affects everybody else. So take care, and really nice to see you again. Sunday show is tomorrow with a guest that's going to be, as usual, very interesting. And Planetary Healing Club starts at about an hour and a half from now. So take it easy, and we'll see you next time.